And cheerleading is an activity in which the participants, who are also called the cheerleaders, cheer for their team as a form of encouragement. It can range from chanting slogans to intense physical activity. It can also be performed to motivate sports teams, to entertain the audience, or for competition. And competitive routines typically range anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes and contain components of tumbling, dance, jumps, cheers, and stunting. And cheerleading originated in the United States and remains predominantly in America, with an estimated 1.5 million participants in all-star cheerleading. And today, there are now an estimated 100,000 participants scattered around the globe in Australia, Canada, China, Colombia, Finland, France, Germany, Japan, the Netherlands, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and of course, back home here in Nigeria. And as I earlier mentioned, I've got Obieze Lillian, the founder of Lagos Cheer Nigeria, and Babatunde Kazeem, director of Lagos Cheer Nigeria. And we'll be looking at the world of cheerleading, and later I'll be joined by the captain of the team, Godswill Essien. And of course, once again, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I mean, let's go straight to cheerleading. This is one sport that people really do not talk about. And the first time I heard about cheerleading was in a movie. I think it was in 2000. Yeah, 2000. Bring It On.
Bring It On, yeah.
That's when I saw the best of cheerleading. And I thought, can't we have this in the country, Nigeria? And you started this in the country. But I'd like to ask, were you once a cheerleader?
Okay, yes, I was.
Back in school?
Back in school, yes, I actually cheered for a company, Ribena, and then also Lagos Cheer Nigeria as well. Yeah.
Okay, now, how did you come about forming this team, Lagos Cheer Nigeria?
Okay, like 9 years ago, I watched the same movie you watched, Bring It On, and I fell in love with the movie. I was like, wow, how can, I put up something like this in Nigeria? Of course, the stunt and all that, if you don't know the stunt, you can't do it at all.
True.
So I realized, okay, that cheerleading has different types. It has the full routine, it has the all-stars, it has pump cheer, it has hip-hop cheer and all that. So I was like, okay, that maybe we could start out with pump cheer, then we wouldn't take people up, putting up stunts and all that. So we started with a school here on the island, so they were like, okay, that they need something good for inter-house sports. So I suggested cheerleading. So they were like, okay, I should put it up. So I taught the children, cheerleading, and they displayed. Parents loved it, the schools loved it, and at the same time, they were also motivating the people, the athletes running and all of that on sideline, because we have sideline cheerleaders who can always, motivate athletes or sport events and all that. So they loved it, they really enjoyed it. And from there, it's been on till today.
Wow, good one for Lagos Cheer Nigeria. Now let's talk to the director of Lagos Cheer Nigeria, Babatunde Kazeem. Now, people do not even know that cheerleading can be a sport. Apart from supporting your team, it can be tagged as a sport where you compete with other cheerleaders. How have you been able to manage this team, and have you been engaged in any of these competitions?
Yes, we've been engaged in different competitions, but we have hindrances, which is the finances for every sport to move forward. Lagos Cheer Nigeria has been there for a while, and we've been able to partake in various sporting events in Lagos State as a whole. We were part of the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon. We've been doing it for the past 3 years, and we've had competitions to attend. But one of our hindrances, like I said earlier, which is the finances for the team and the coaching crew, because we have to get certification from ICU, which is the International Cheer Union, which the training always comes up in South Africa yearly, and and there's a major sporting event that happens, which is the African Cup, which is the Samka Cup, which happens in South Africa also. We've been invited severally, but we've not been able to attend. The reason being, we don't have enough cash to fund the team, because if you're going for a competition like that, the team actually comprises of at least 15 to 20 athletes. And you have the coaching crew and the backline crew and the likes of them, which is about almost 30 of us that will be traveling. So I think the sport is gaining momentum. We've been able to achieve a little feat, and we think we can do better in the coming future. But what we need at the moment to really grow the sports in Nigeria, it's public and private participation in it.
Very true.
So that's one of our major.
Is there a body that handles cheerleading in Nigeria, even in Lagos?
Yes. We have the parent body, which is common, which stands for Cheerleading and Majority Association of Nigeria. That is the federation body for the sport itself in Nigeria. So it's not just Lagos Cheer Nigeria that you'll be saying Nigeria, because we've been given the mandate to propagate the sport in West Africa as a whole, because since we're being seen as giant of Africa. So ICU, which is the International Cheer Union, has seen us to be, okay, you guys are huge when it comes to growing sport. You have the mandate to see how you can propagate it to other West African countries. So we have been doing our bit. We brought in the coaches from Botswana. We had some coaches coming also. So we have different coaches coming into Nigeria also to lend us a hand, which is, and majority of what we've been doing has been privately financed at the moment, which has not been easy. But we know we can grow it better once we're able to get there.
Very true. We keep talking about funding and the private sector getting to dip their hands in the world of sports. And sports like this, of course, I think when we push it more, we'll get more support and we'll grow higher. Now, let me ask you, Lillian, what does it take to be a cheerleader? Do you consider, besides, can I be a cheerleader?
Yes, you can be a cheerleader. Yes, but you wouldn't do the hard part of it.
Wow, what's the hard part of it?
Okay, so like the back handsprings, so like for level 5, level 6, you may not be able to. You can just do like a level 1 cheerleading for adult team, because they have different categories. They have level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, 5, and 6, and there's some adults who can as well go for level 1. You know, so you can. I can probably do pump chair, no stunting, hip hop chair. Yeah.
Maybe I should consider this. But when it comes to cheerleading, when we hear the word cheerleading, most people think it's only associated to women. And I've seen a couple of guys do cheerleading, and they've been very flexible as well. Is there any special training they go through for them to get that kind of flexibility?
Okay. First of all, cheerleading was being started by a man. And then they had all boys team, and later on the girls came in. You know, so if you have to go for competitions, you could either come with 2 teams, like the co-ed team that involve the boys and the girls, and all girls team. So cheerleading is not just for the girls alone, of course, it's for the boys and the girls as well. Now, first of all, we usually organize tryouts. So we get you, of course, once we organize that, we'll get you tested to know where you fit in. And then from there, it start up. You know, so there are some people who can as well make up level 2, while there are some that can be in a novice team. So from there, they learn before they move to, you know, level 1, and that's where the training comes up. And then there's a high level of flexibility, especially for the flyers, because for you to make up a stunt, you have the flyers, you have the base. That's the base are the ones that make the flying happen, and then the back spotters, you know, so those bays are usually strong, trained to be strong, may not be flexible, but the flyers are trained to be very flexible. So as a cheer coach, you need to understand the technique to use for cheerleaders to gain flexibility, and then the technique to use for the bays and the back spotters to gain strength and lifting and all that. So you need to understand the sport itself before you go into it.
Very true. Coach. Understanding the sport is key before you get into it. Any kind of sport that you want to go into, you need to understand the rudiments before going to practice that sport. Let's go on a quick break, and when we come back, the captain of the team will be joining us. That's the captain of the senior team will be joining us. Her name is Godswill Essian. We'll be right back. Wow, interesting right there. And I really wish I could jump. I wish I could do the stunts and all that. Maybe someday I would just go outside the studio now and jump from probably third mainland to show I can do this stunt. I've still got Obieze Lillian right here on the show, the founder of Lagos Cheer Nigeria, and we're being joined by the captain, Godswill Essien. She's a pretty lady, so if you're thinking cheerleading is just for muscled men and women, nah, she's a pretty lady. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, let's talk about you. What are those things you do when it comes to training routines before you get into cheerleading, you're performing?
Okay, first of all, for cheerleaders, you have to get your training kits very well. In terms of, you have to look very good. You need to look smart and fit. Then we go into our normal exercise. Definitely we have to do some exercise to make us fit, good. And then we have, for the flyers, before you can come in, you don't eat anyhow, because when you're going to take you up and bring you down, mistakenly you come down, something may happen. You should know, just take something very light. Then after the training, you can eat whatever you want to eat. But once you're coming for training, take something like just a tea. But for the base, we have the base. People that take the flyers up, we can eat anything, a bar, anything you want to eat, so like that you can be strong.
So that's on the ground.
You can be strong. So a lot of things we have to do. So you have to know what to do, and then as a base, you need to take medication in terms of blood tablets, so that you can be fit. Because most of our flyers, you understand? So we need to.
Now, how has it been? Vegetables.
Yes.
Most times you get to eat lots of vegetables to stay.
And most of our flyers, what they take more is fruits. They take fruits mostly. Once someone starts our training, or sometimes they'll have break during training, they must take fruits, no food.
Wow, I don't think I can.
But for the base, we can eat whatever.
I don't even think I can make it as a cheerleader. I love my eba. I love my eba. Fruits, well, maybe once in a while, so I'll really dig with that. Now, what are we expecting from Lagos Cheer Nigeria? Is there anything coming up anytime soon?
Okay, let me digress a little bit.
Okay.
I want to let you know that it's not just Lagos Cheer that is existing in Nigeria. We have cheerleaders in Abuja, we have cheerleading in Enugu, cheerleading in Anambra, and of course, Lagos. You know, so, but Lagos is quite popular. Lagos cheerleaders, they're quite popular, you know, yeah. And then Lagos Cheer Nigeria has been able, in collaboration with American International School, has been able to organize cheerleading competition called Battle of the Champions. So we've done it for 2 years. So the last one we did was in April. So we had about 3 teams of different schools who are qualified to compete in Las Vegas next year.
Wow.
You know, yeah.
And well, I'll be talking to the captain now, because you know, when it comes to weightlifting, boxing, we talk about weight categories. You cannot just feature in heavyweight boxing if you're not a power fighter. You can't feature in heavyweight lifting if you're not in that category. So I'd like to also ask, Godswill, when it comes to the team, the cheerleading team, you say you feature as a base, and there are also flyers. I assume that the flyers are smaller in body size than you are.
Yeah.
Now, what are those categories when it comes to the positions in cheerleading?
Okay, categories come in different size.
Okay.
So like for the base, we're looking at 64, 65. Then for the flyers, we're looking at 40, 30. Wow. Yes.
That's a tough one. And you are within that range of 64, 65?
Yes, I am.
You don't even want to know my weight. You don't want to know my weight. Now, how long, or do you want to share more light on that?
Yes. We actually have different teams with different age range. We have like the tiny teams, the fall in the category of between 4 years to 6 years. So the flyers has to be extremely tiny, extremely small. And then we have the mini team, we have the youth team, and then we have the senior team and junior team. Okay. So Godswill falls in the category of the senior team. So I guess she is actually talking about the weight range coming from the senior team.
Senior team.
Yes. Yeah.
I wonder with my weight, I shouldn't feature in the senior team. I should feature in the overall overall team. And how long has Lagos Cheer Nigeria been in existence?
3 years now.
Wow, such a long time.
Yeah.
Well, also, you talked about the summer camp. You need to share more light on that.
Okay, yes. We usually organize summer camp that comes up every year in August. We have a coach who is born in Nigeria, but of course based in London. She's the 4th best coach in United Kingdom.
Oh, wow.
She's so good. So she comes in like to give back to her country, to support her country due to what she has learned, over there. And then she comes every year and she supports us, with everything that comes with cheerleading. So she's coming on the 29th of July, and she's going to start up with Abuja cheerleaders, and then after which she moved to Enugu, and then she comes back to Lagos. So now summer camp cheer clinic is a clinic that happens where all the cheerleaders are being camped. They all stay together, learn about each other's attitude, aside the sport itself. You need to understand one another. There has to be love shared among yourselves before you can think of putting someone on air, So with that, we get to understand each other. We get to support each other, and then
definitely you have to trust each other.
Exactly.
Because if someone throws you up in the air, if I don't trust you, I'll leave you.
And then that's some people who are fresh when it comes to cheerleading. So in summer camp, you got to learn everything that comes with cheerleading. You learn the chants, the jumps, the technique, the turns, the pyramid, the flips, and all of that. So you learn it from the novice level, level 1, level 2. So you get to understand, before you move to a new season for cheerleading. Because in Nigeria, our new season starts in September and ends in July, and then we'll end with the summer camp in August.
Nice. And what are the risks involved in cheerleading?
Okay, first of all, if you're not healthy, you can't be a cheerleader. Like if you're not strong, you have health issues, you won't, because it has to do with a lot of energy, a lot of tosses, a lot of shouting, screaming, and all of that. And then, now, if you're not trained, then please don't, it's not something you can hide. It's not something you can pretend to say, I'm a cheerleader. It's something that is seen physically, So once you don't understand the technique, don't pretend to do it, because you might end up hurting yourself. Just like every other sport has its own risk, of course, cheerleading has its own risk. But once you've gotten the training, the skills, and everything that comes with it, of course, the injuries, of course, will be very minimal.
Very true. Godsul, when did you discover your talent? Or who discovered you as a cheerleader?
Okay, actually, I joined through the workshop.
Okay.
She organized a workshop for 3 days. Then she called me and Gosu, I want to be part of this workshop. First of all, I was like, no way. I was feeling reluctant, but later I have to put in. And when I saw the workshop, it was great, it was good. I just started to change my mind, I'm going to be a cheerleader. I'm going to be a cheerleader. I love it.
How long ago was this?
That's 3 years ago.
3 years ago, you started with
I started.
Wow, that's a good one. Now, as we wrap up with the show now, your training, when do you have your trainings, and how do you go about selecting? Is it still open for people to come register as cheerleaders?
Okay, it's open. It's actually open for everyone, to register. That's if you are interested. And then, of course, we can't just accept you if we don't organize tryout section to know if you're fit to be part of the team, And then for LCN, we have, I want to go back, we have about 50 to 70 cheerleaders.
Oh, wow.
And then while we have some in the university, some in secondary school, some in primary school. So everybody had to join in with the tryouts that we organized, to be part of the team.
Okay. Yeah. A whole lot's happening for cheerleading right here in the country, because we really do not know about cheerleading, but I'm sure Lagos Cheer Nigeria, with what they're doing, will make cheerleading very popular in the country. But of course, our time will not permit us. That's why we'll draw a wrap on today's show. I hope you enjoyed the package, and we'll look forward to the game between Nigeria and Tunisia. And I just hope that Lagos Cheer Nigeria can travel quickly to Egypt to support the Super Eagles of Nigeria, so at least we'll bring back the bronze medal in that one. Amudoka Njoku, thank you for enjoying the show today, and thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you.
And of course, on behalf of Kazim, he also the director of Lagos Cheer Nigeria, we say thank you for coming on the show. Do enjoy the rest of your day.